On today's show, how to get your first 1,000 plays on Spotify.
This is 30-minute music marketing.
30-minute music marketing for musicians who want to get better at marketing their music.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hello, I'm Sheldon, and this is 30-minute music marketing, the show for independent artists and DIY musicians who want to get better at marketing their music. That's you lot out there. Thanks for listening to this on the podcast, watching it on the YouTubes or the Facebook. Like, subscribe,
Smash
ring
that
bell,
subscribe button.
tell your friends.
Ask questions, give us a reason to keep doing
That
this.
sort of thing. Now then, Greg, today's episode was supposed to be an interview special. However, our interviewees have blown us off.
Not like that. They've gone to a gig.
But yes, they're playing a gig tonight, so that's good for them.
Yes.
You know, or they're rehearsing because they're playing a gig. Well, anyway.
But you've managed to pull something out of the bag.
Pull something
which
out
I
of
think
the bag.
quite a lot of our listeners and viewers might be interested in.
Come up with an episode topic at a fairly short notice. And it's how to get your first 1,000 plays
Bit of a benchmark.
on Spotify. Because I'm sure a lot of people out there are familiar with having maybe their top 5 songs on Spotify.
Yes.
And several of them have that chevron. Is it a chevron?
Yes.
It's been that long since I did my maths. That sort of
arrowy
triangular thing,
thingy,
which means less than 1,000 plays. It's almost like a badge of dishonour. It's like having to walk in front with a bell saying shame.
It is a bit like,
shame.
how badly did I not market my song?
Yes. So imagine us putting the blue emergency light on, driving around to your house and giving you 4 tips to try and get you up to that 1,000 mark, just so you're not less than 1,000.
So it's a bit like that Martin person who does all the financial advisory and how to get better at stuff. We're going to help you with your figures.
Martin Lewis.
That's it.
That was very good. That was almost Partridge-esque. You're getting well at this. Have another cup of tea before you come on next week. You'll be buzzing.
It's the coffee. Although
Right.
I do have cans of Monster, or I'm a bit scared to try one. Anyway, so we're going to get straight into this.
Okay, let's do this.
So let's see how good you can pull something out of the bag. So, number 1. Hustle your socials.
Hustle your socials.
Can you be clear on this?
Yes. So you need basically to get savvy and to start plugging away. Us musicians, we're not generally, we don't like it being sort of all pluggy and salesy and please listen to this and please listen to this. However, there has to come a time where you're going to have to knuckle down and maybe do a little bit more coercion than you normally would. First off, let's go for the easy, low-hanging fruit in the link in all your social media bios where it might normally point to your sort of website or whatever. Change the URL in there to the Spotify URL to that particular track. That's a nice, easy win.
Should you do this subtly, or should you ask people to go listen to it?
No, ask people. It's like latest
Really?
track. Yeah, latest track.
It sounds a bit desperate to me.
XYZ. Well, desperate times call for desperate measures. No, I think it's fairly standard practice for people to put the link in the bios of what is the most important thing to them at this moment in time. And if you want to get that 1,000 plays, then directing people. This is it. These plays aren't going to happen by magic. Right, so changing the URLs, plugging and linking to that particular track on your Instagram stories is good. People can click the link on an Instagram story and be taken to Spotify from there, so that's another good one. If you're Instagram in actual normal grams, if you call them thus. The whole problem there is you don't get the ability to put a link in. So Twitter's always good for sending people elsewhere. But the thing about a tweet is it can have a very short half-life. So in other words, if you follow many, many thousands of people, the chances of if you just tweet about something once, the other person actually seeing it
is going to be...
It can be quite minimal, so you've got to get into a habit of tweeting and then tweeting again and maybe tweeting at different times of day. So for pretty much for anything that I do, if I post something, tweet something at tea time of an evening, I will retweet it the morning after to try and get like a different sort of set of people. It may be worth doing yet another tweet, maybe it's sort of midday to catch your midday sort of audience. Sure. And again, so I do that maybe at the start of the week, and then maybe you need to do again something in the middle of the week and the end of the week. So don't be afraid. As long as you can maybe change
over-tweet.
A lot of the time, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
one question I should have asked right at the beginning.
Carry
Out
on.
all the things that we're doing, we're suggesting here,
Yes.
is this in addition to your marketing campaign that you
Yes.
would have done prior to releasing the
No,
single?
what I'm working on the basis of that if it's got less than 1,000 plays, you probably haven't done any marketing in the first. And I'm not going to tell you all. These things happen. Life can get in the way. Because if you've had a specific marketing plan in place before, during, and after you release it, then you should be getting somewhere, over and above 1,000 plays. So this is, like I say, remember the emergency light, Greg?
Yep.
Right, so this is an emergency because you haven't done anything.
Because you haven't done the
Yes.
previous stuff. Okay, right. So moving swiftly on to number 2.
Yes.
Create some playlists.
So rather than just necessarily singularly plugging your song, we're going to be a little bit surreptitious and take that particular track and place it within a couple of different types of playlists. So the first one could just be your...
Are you suggesting that the band or artist creates a playlist that might contain songs that are similar to their song or just songs that are of interest to them?
Let me finish. Right, so first one could be either your favourite or your bestest or the fans' favourites, maybe top 5 or top 10 tracks of yours. And so number 1 could be that song right at the beginning.
Okay.
And
So it's a bit like a mixtape, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. So that's one. So like that, that's your top 10. If you think about the genre of music that particular song is, could be rock, country, jazz, then you could do a playlist of that particular genre and the track goes in there. Whatever mood the track conjures. Is it happy song? Is it an angsty song?
Melancholic.
Is melancholic? So that you could do a mood playlist and somewhere stick it in there. You could do a local band's music playlist.
Are you suggesting that
I'm not going around promoting other bands.
promoting other local bands? Oh, that'll never catch on.
So rather than again being blunt and saying, "Oh, just listen to my track," you could maybe.
It's a bit more inviting, isn't it?
Did you hear about this fairly recently? A doctor has been hiding broccoli in President Trump's mashed potato because he doesn't eat his vegetables.
Nothing surprises me with that tangerine.
Your track is broccoli within the mashed potato of a playlist. That's what I'm trying to say.
As they say, always eat your greens.
Yeah. So you assemble that and then you share it.
No, that's a good idea.
Thanks very
It's
much.
almost like it's coversive.
Very covert, yes. Very undercover.
Right, so moving swiftly on to number 3. Use, they're not going to like this, paid services.
So there are several services, if you stick your hands in your pocket, that can put that particular track or song of yours under the noses of other people. So first one is Submit Hub. And what they do is you submit the track to them, you buy credits for that particular service, and that credits will allow you to pay to bring it to the attention of curators. So people who do playlists, maybe people who write music blogs.
Right.
And the idea is they might not necessarily feature it on a playlist or write about it on a blog, but you work on the basis that your song or track is pretty good, and hopefully it will, and you're basically spending a bit of money to oil the wheels of commerce. There's also another service called, which I've seen more people recommend as well, called Playlist City. And that is a massive, I think it's a 5,000 plus list of Spotify playlist curators. And you pay to become a member of this service. And then you search this, basically what is a database, and try and find curators who you think might be interested in your
track.
Now you've got to then go through the process of submitting it to that curator. But again, I mean, there's nothing to say that you couldn't necessarily independently do all this research yourself. But the idea is that if you're paying somebody for a service, the thing that you're paying for is something to save you some time.
Yeah. Haven't you kind of got that with your own personal playlist curator, Steve Lamack?
Oh, he has been known to play a few songs, but again, if I've got sort of a direct relationship with a DJ, if you don't necessarily have that, then you use and you pay for the services of a radio plugger. Same sort of thing.
Do you have any idea of the costing of that?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. One thing I've noticed,
is-
and well, I don't know. You might have known because you found
I
out.
could
the
have
name.
done some research, but I literally had to do this in 24 hours.
So, in terms of, I've seen that you can pay for views or potential views or maybe plays via Fiverr, and this, but this is one. What I gather is that you are paying for them to put a post on their social media because they have X amount of followers. Would you say that's kind of something similar, or would you say that's?
No, that is just. I mean, there
You're
are
basically paying influencers to talk about it.
Yeah, and that in itself is potentially not a bad thing. However, the idea is that you should be looking for the right influencer who
Right.
has the right audience.
Okay.
So, you know, I think micro-influencing on TikTok is a thing at the moment, and you can pay for maybe even not necessarily a large amount of money for young people on TikTok to sing, to do a video with your song. Apparently, some of them also charge a tremendous amount of money. But that's one of the things.
Okay.
And again, if you know the type of audience that particular influencer has, then that's fine. But if you're paying someone on Fiverr, then you've absolutely no idea A, who they are, and B, who follows them on any. You know, if anybody follows them at all, they could just sit there refreshing it all day.
Yeah, that's a
Could
fair
just take the
point.
kind of a robot finger, just pressing F5, and maybe doing other things as well. But we won't go into
Yeah, I
that.
think that's best. So there you go. Use paid services. I
Yep.
know you're gonna have to suck it up and spend some money.
Yeah. So don't buy takeaways. Invest it in your music career.
Because it may invest in you.
Oh, number 4 is involving the Reddies as well.
I know they're not going to like us today, Sheldon. Number 4 is run ads.
Yes, paid traffic. So Instagram Stories seems to be the place to advertise if you're trying to drive traffic to Spotify. The idea is that you use maybe video clips. So if you've got a promo video, your Instagram story ad will be formatted in a 9:16 ratio, which is just widescreen
Right.
turned the other way round. So again, there'll be some sort of short 15-minute clip of your video embedded within a portrait sort of template.
Yep.
The thing about ads is it can be tricky and maybe costly to try and find the most cost-effective audience and be effective audience, as in people who will actually click it and go over to Spotify. The main problem with this sort of campaign is I've seen courses that say, oh yeah, I'll teach you how to do this. And there are some artists that will get it for as low as 2 cents a click. So in other words, it costs 2 cents for somebody to click to go over to Spotify. When you actually drill down and see a lot of people's real world examples, it invariably never gets that low. And I was watching a video with someone this morning, and a particular musician was saying that she's never got as low as like maybe 10 or 12 cents a click. And if you think about it, if it's costing you 12 cents to drive someone to Spotify who will listen to your track, and you will get paid 1/10 of a cent back in royalty if they click play
For
in
more
the
than
first
30
place.
seconds.
Yeah. So
That's
it's
quite
yeah,
expensive, isn't it?
it's what's the word? It's not particularly perhaps the most cost-effective thing in the world, but you could invest, a small amount of money and see if it works, if it has any benefits.
The only thing with that is that maybe you would use that example to raise your brand awareness rather than raise the awareness of just one song. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it could well be. I mean, the thing that these particular courses say is that you can't necessarily expect just to spend maybe a couple of £100, dollars, and get like an instant sort of result. This is almost like a long-term thing.
Yeah.
And apparently this artist who has gained a massive following using this particular strategy, they spend like $5 a day every single day.
That's.
So it's a large budget.
But in the grand
it's
scheme of things, that's not actually that expensive, though, is it?
I suppose not. If he thinks about himself as a business, this particular artist, which it is, in terms of advertising costs, 30 times 5, is it $150 a month? And, most businesses would spend, even a small business would probably spend more than $150 a month on marketing and advertising. So, again, you've got to try and,
Yeah.
compare yourself to
I think
any other sort of business.
you've got a lot of people who are probably guilty of having everything for free. So
I wonder how much an advert would have cost in the Yellow Pages all those years ago.
I can remember actually doing stuff like a 30-second TV commercial at a really, really rubbish time of the day was still started at like £9,000 or something, and you're just kind of going
for 30 seconds.
For I don't know how many viewings that was, but yeah, so $5 a day compared to that is quite a bit more reasonable.
So those were like four.
So
those
if
were
it's
four
already
examples. If it's an emergency and you don't really get around to doing your marketing in the first place, that sort of stuff you can action sort of right now to try and readdress your lack of
the chevron.
Yes. So, but there are things that you can do almost like right. So that was one particular single. Here comes your next sort of single. That's in your field of vision. That's going to be maybe a few weeks or a few months. How about potentially starting now and trying to fix things and do these next couple of items
For the next one. So
what's number 5 then?
Number
Greg?
5, you're going to have to tell me this because I don't actually know what it means. Excuse me. Ask for pre-saves.
So if you've got a single that's coming out,
Yep.
So in other words, you've submitted it to the aggregator and you've got maybe like a window of about 3 or 4 weeks before it's actually released. So in other words, you submit it.
They do seem to be moving quite quickly now.
Oh, yeah. But the idea is that if you give yourself a window whereby maybe say sort of 3 weeks before sort of submission, and then Spotify has it within their sort of system, there are services that can make people pre-save that particular release. So they will definitely get it in their... it's not New Music Friday. What's the Friday playlist called? Anyway, they'll get it upon the day of the release.
Okay.
They'll be notified about that. So some distributors will give you that for free. So somebody like DistroKid, they provide that particular service for free. Other people will charge you a modest amount of money and provide a similar sort of service so that you can pre-save so that you will definitely get it through Spotify on the day of the release. So pre-saves are all the rage these days.
Well, now I know.
Yes.
Now you know. So that's obviously beneficial for everyone.
And last one would
Go
be...
on, number 6. I can't even speak.
No worries.
Yeah, submit to Spotify editorial playlists.
Yes, we've mentioned this before, and you can go direct to Spotify and say, "Dear Mr. Spotify, can you please include me in your official Spotify playlists?" And you just go through the necessary process. It's a couple of pages. You describe the particular track and what its moods and its instrumentation.
Yeah, because we talked about this in an episode a few weeks back.
And apparently, there's a 1 in 10 chance of it actually happening. And
That's not bad odds,
as I said before, that's pretty good. If you were to enter any sort of competition with a 1 in 10 chance of winning, that's pretty damn good.
It's better than the National Lottery.
But what that will also do is, if you do that, even if you don't get on the Spotify playlists, you've got a much better chance of it being included in all your followers' New Music Friday playlists, just by doing that. So doing that, you will get that single heard by more of your Spotify followers.
Does that cost any money?
That doesn't know.
So a 1 in 10 even chance of getting yourself some pretty good coverage, and it's going to cost you now.
I would have sung 1 in 10 by UB40, but we're not officially licensed to do that.
Yes, we don't want it pulled from YouTube for infringement.
Because obviously it will be such a sonic and accurate representation of the original single that it would trigger the fingerprinting algorithm,
and the internet would go into meltdown.
But you know what you should never do though, Greg?
What? You're going to tell me what I should never do?
No, well, not you specifically, but our audience.
I was speaking on behalf of...
So you should never pay for streams from bots.
Really?
From phones.
But I can get 1 million plays on Spotify.
Oh, you can't. Well, for about $5,000. You're thinking. What are you thinking about?
I'm just thinking of that. There was a band that we saw locally that had
that
1 million
actually
plays
had
on one song.
1 million, yeah.
And then less than 1,000 on all their other tracks, which was a little bit confusing.
It was a little bit odd, and what happened to them was that music got deleted because...
Did it?
I believe so, yeah. Well, it certainly lost its play count. But what happens is if Spotify spots any funny business going on, shall we say, let's just refer to it as that, then it'll just go, whoa, the bot's here, mate, and it will it will just whip it off. So at the very least, you'll get that play count removed. At the very worst, they will delete your music from Spotify, and then you'll have to re-upload it, and then you will lose all the play counts that you originally had.
But there's so many people offering it.
Yeah. But the thing as well is it ruins your algorithm. The whole idea is that algorithmically Spotify is trying to seed your music to people who would hopefully like the type of music that you make. I mean, for me, because I use Spotify a lot of the time when I'd listen to its algorithmically generated playlists, I'm going, oh, this is really good. I have no idea who these are.
Yeah.
And if your music is listened to by a load of bots in South Korea, then all it's going to do is it's going to feed it out to other bots. And if you're trying to attract a real fan base full of real people and get them to shows and get them to buy merchandise and whatever else you're offering, all you're going to be doing is attracting the attention of mobile phones in Thailand, which isn't going to help your music career.
They're certainly not going to be buying tickets for your local gig, are they?
Exactly. So don't use those naughty services, the ones that you get streams from bots.
Because it's a false economy.
It is very much a false economy.
So you've gone a bit straight here because you've decided to say it's either work, stroke hustle, or money.
The more I think about music marketing, the more it can be summed up and expressed in the sentence that whatever you're doing, it either involves you, the individual out there, doing a lot of work and spending a lot of time hustling and getting your stuff out there, or you're paying for someone else to do that. So you can do lots of stuff yourself for free, and it will just take you time.
A bit of time.
Or you pay someone else for the privilege, costing you money, but freeing up your time to do other things. And
So-
I think that's perfectly expressed by the 4 things that we've... or 6. 6. It's 4 or 6.
Yes.
Who knows?
So, in summary, Mr.
yes.
Sheldon, if you're looking to increase the streams of one of your tracks, here are 4 different things you can try. Do you want to start?
Yes, okay, so number 1 is work your social media channels. The easy thing to do is change all the links in your bios to point to the track that you want people to listen to, and then be prepared to keep plugging away on your socials to send people to listen.
So number 2, place the track into a different themed but appropriate playlist based upon genre or mood and share those on your socials.
Number 3 would be place... that was rubbish, wasn't it? No, never mind, never
so
mind.
well.
We were doing so well. Number 3 is use paid services. I've not got my glasses on. Use paid services that will submit the track to playlisters and bloggers to give it wider exposure. You can also pay to use services that give you playlisters' contact details so that you can do it yourself.
And finally, number 4, use social media ads, such as Instagram story ads, to drive traffic to that song.
So there's your 4 main items of business, the 4 things you can do to try and get that all-important first 1,000 plays on that Spotify track of yours.
So do you, the viewer and the listener, have any other things that you'd like to share with us? Have you got any other tips or tricks or techniques that we haven't mentioned?
Have you had any success using the services mentioned? Playlist Cities, Submit Hub. Let us know.
Have you got any horror stories of bots?
Oh yes. Have you done the terrible thing in terms of trying to get computers to listen to your music, and how did that affect you?
Do you know that I finally found this out this week? In 1961, Max somebody or other, I'm not very informative here, taught an IBM computer to sing.
Did he now?
Yeah, back in 1961. But anyway, smash that subscribe button, like what we do, support the channel, tell your friends and your pets and your family.
And we will see you on the next 30-minute music marketing.
Okay, take care.
See you now.
Bye.
Ta-da!